Welcome dear learners to this new lecture. The title of today's discussion is on your screen. History of Linguistics in India, Ancient Indian Linguistics, Oral Traditions. So we will just try to discuss these aspects. Agenda for today's discussion is on your screen. What do we mean by linguistics? What are the major concerns of linguistics? Are there any types of linguistics? How linguistics originated in India? What is the contribution of linguistics to Indian knowledge tradition? So these are our points of consideration for today's discussion. Now we just come to know what is linguistics. Basically, linguistic is the scientific study of language, its structure, functions and use. It doesn't judge language as right or wrong, but tries to understand how language works. A basic aspect of linguistic is to find out the function of language. It examines how languages are formed, structured, acquired, used and changed over time. What are the factors that affect the newness or the innovations in language? Unlike earlier traditional approaches that treated language mainly as grammar or literature, linguistics focuses on language as a system with rules that can be observed and analyzed. What linguistics is not about, that's equally important to know. It is not about fluency. Linguists do not have to be fluent in many languages. Many are monolingual and focus on the science behind language itself. So linguistics doesn't mean that you know a number of languages, then you are called a linguist. Rather, you are concentrating only on one language, but more important is to understand the science behind language itself, that its phonetics, its morphology and so on. It is not just about perspective rules or prescriptive rules. While it can be used to understand grammar, the focus is on how language is actually used rather than on outdated or correct usage. So, certain branches and types of linguistics are there, like phonetics as the one very important branch. It studies speech sounds, articulation of sounds like vowel sound or the consonant sound like K. And phonology is concerned with sound pattern in languages, rules for combining sounds. Then morphology is concerned with the formation of words with the help of the letters and its meaning. Root plus suffix, that is teach plus er, then it becomes the teacher. So how to form the word. Then syntax is concerned with the structure of sentences with the help of the words, how you form a sentence which depicts the meaning. Subject, verb, object patterns or subject or predicate patterns. Then semantics is concerned with the meaning in languages, the sound and how it is creating the meaning, literal meaning of words and sentences. Then pragmatics, contextual meaning and usage, use of polite forms in conversation. And pragmatics and semantics both are concerned with the meaning, how it is originated. So, semantics is concerned with the literal meaning and contextual meaning is concerned with pragmatics. Like in the case of idioms, if you just take the literal meaning, the meaning would be wrong. For example, if you say to be born with a silver spoon in one's mouth. So, literal meaning would be different. The contextual meaning is that a person who belongs to a rich family, that is the meaning of this idiom. So, phrases and idioms, they have the pragmatic meanings rather than semantic meanings. Then another type or branch of linguistic, rather than it is a particular a branch where we study a specific aspect of linguistics is sociolinguistics, the relationship between language and society, how factors like race, gender and location influence how people speak. Then historical linguistics, you see that many people just pronounce a particular word in their own way. That is the effect or the influence of their specific society where they live or the surroundings or the atmosphere. So that all issues are the subject matter of socio-linguistics. Then historical linguistics, language changes over time. What are those factors? What are those circumstances where language is changing? Various dialects and forms of ancient languages like Sanskrit and Arabic. The classical language and classical Sanskrit and Arabic are different from what we study today in the modern world. In the same way, the local dialects like Hindi has many local dialects like Ramcharitmanas is written and composed in Awadhi, that is the local dialects of Hindi, Braj Bhasha and so on. Then psycholinguistics, how the mind processes and acquire languages. The mental aspects is also important, and there's one very important person, Noam Chomsky, a legendary person, who gave the theory of universal grammar. So child normally do not learn grammar, they learn by way of their psycholinguistics process in the mind, and they try to form and reform the sentences. So we all discuss all these things in forthcoming discussion. Certain theories are associated with the linguistics, like structuralism talks about language as a, and key contributors are also given on your screen. You may also just take their name. Language as a self-contained system of science, it focuses on relationship between different elements within the language system. That is what structuralism says. Another theory is generative grammar. It is also known as the universal grammar. Noam Chomsky is the propounder of this theory. Human mind has innate linguistic capacity. Rules of grammar are universal and natural learning is possible on the part of a child. Behaviorist theory says, propounded by B.F. Skinner, language learning is habit formation through stimulus response. Then functional linguistics, Halliday is associated. A language is a social phenomenon used for communication for and functions. Then cognitive linguistics says that language emerges from human cognition and conceptual structures. In the Indian tradition, you see linguistic analysis predates these models and demonstrates high conceptual sophistication. These are the models, these are the theories or ideas that come from the West or the modern psychology and sociology. But in Indian knowledge traditions, we find there is a very well organized system of linguistics right from the times of Vedas and Upanishads. We have already discussed about the Vedangas in one of the Vedic literature or the corpus of the Vedic literature, Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotish. So they are basically associated with the linguistic and ancient Indian traditions. So we just have a glimpse on Indian linguistics, emergence of linguistic science in ancient India. It emerged primarily as a response to the need for preservation of Vedic hymns. Correct pronunciation was essential to maintain ritual purity. Interpretation of sacred text, rigorous grammatical analysis was required, and then standardization of Sanskrit language, providing clear grammatical rules. So these three were the prime purposes or aims why there was a need of the theory of linguistics or the ways of linguistics. The foundational text in Indian linguistics is the Ashtadhyayi of Panini that was composed during the 4th century before Christ. It is considered one of the most precise and scientific grammatical system ever created. Indian linguistics, some key figures are Panini, authors of Ashtadhyayi. He formulated more than 4,000 sutras describing Sanskrit grammar. Katyayan wrote Vartikas, explanatory notes on the Panini's grammar. Then Patanjali authored Mahabhashya, a detailed commentary interpreting both Panini and Katyayan. And then Bhartahari developed the Sphota theory of meaning and discussed language as the embodiment of consciousness. That's very important contribution of Bhartahari, the Sphota theory. All of a sudden, the mind just find out the meaning of a particular word. You don't just analyze the words and its sounds, rather all of a sudden the meaning comes to the mind. That is the Sphota theory. We will also see in detail it. Ancient India treated linguistics not merely as grammar but as a pathway to knowledge, meaning, philosophy and logic. So certain characteristics of ancient Indian linguistics are scientific and systematic. Language was analyzed with logical precision and rule-based structure. Sutra method was prominently used, use of concise aphoristic statements for complex linguistic rules. Then emphasis on phonetics and sound science. Vedic scholars developed Shiksha text to preserve exact sound articulation. It focused on correct usage, that is prayog or applied aspect. Language was studied to ensure correct communication. Integration with philosophy was obvious. Language was seen as a medium of knowledge, that is called vak. descriptive, not only prescriptive. While grammar regulated language, it also documented natural spoken forms and advanced meta language. Panini used symbols, markers, and technical terminology to build a generative linguistic system. So here you see 6 Vedangas, text of ancient Indian linguistics. Shiksha, concerned with phonetics, pronunciation, and sound, accent, articulation are the main concerns. Vyakarana is a book of grammar, structure and rules of language. Nirukta is associated with etymology or semantics, meaning and derivations of words. Chand, prosody, meters of Vedic hymns. Then Kalpa is concerned with ritual practice, rules for Vedic rituals and procedures, and Jyotish, time and astronomy, determining auspicious times for performing the yagyas and a particular ritual. Then we can discuss one by one. Shiksha is concerned with the phonetics to ensure accurate pronunciation, pitch, duration, and articulation of sounds in Vedic recitation. Main text is Taittiriya Shiksha and Paniniya Shiksha. Key features of Shiksha is classification of vowels and consonants, explanation of place of articulation, or the different forms of sounds come from the different organs associated to your the mouth, and inside that from that vocal guards and inside the mouth, guttural or palatal or dental, how the sound is associated with these different organs of mouth. Rules of intonation, uddata or anuddata or swarita. These are all the terminology that is used in the Shiksha. Preservation of oral traditions. For example, in Vedic chanting, Agni must be pronounced with correct stress. Correct pronunciation was required in order to materialize or realize the magical effect of the Vedic verses. If correct pronunciation was not done, then the effects would not be realized. A slight shift in tone may change the ritual meaning or invalidate the chant. Educational role was obviously very important because the students have to do very hard labor in order to learn the methods of recitation with correct pronunciation. It helped create phonetic precision, leading India to develop one of the world's most scientific sound system. So Shiksha doesn't mean normally Shiksha means the education, but Shiksha in Indian knowledge traditions as one of the 6 Vedangas is associated with the pronunciation, art of pronunciation. Then Vyakarana, the purpose of composing this book was to define the correct form and structure of language and to prevent linguistic corruption. Main text are Panini's Ashtadhyayi, 4th century, Katyayan's Vartika and Mahabhashya, and key concepts are dhatu or the root, pratyay, that is suffix, and the samasa, that is compound, and sandhi, sound combination. So Vyakarana is basically not only concerned with the correct combination of the words in order to make a meaningful sentence, rather its correct sounds, which is the suffix and prefixes and the root of a particular word. All aspects are there, and they are, again you see that the etymologically the word should be associated with grammar. That comes in the again you see in the Nirukta, the Yask is associated with Nirukta, that is concerned with the etymological, the origin of the word. They are all interrelated. Considered Vyakaran or that grammar is considered highly scientific and generative. It can produce infinite valid expressions from limited rules. For example, from the root gam, to go in Sanskrit, that is gachati, he goes, agachat, he went, gamanam, act of doing. So we all study at least this little grammar of Sanskrit at our class 6 or 8th level. That all comes from the Vyakaran, Sanskrit Vyakaran. Education role is obviously very important. It created a logical and formal language system influencing modern linguistics and computer science. Sanskrit is more scientific language that also helps the computer science, and it's very helpful, and the synchronization with Sanskrit is very easy. So that's why it is called a scientific language. Nirukta, etymology, semantics, another Vedanga. Its purpose was to explain the meaning and origin of obscure Vedic words. Main text is Nirukt by Yask. It was composed during 6th and 5th century BC. Key principles of Nirukta are words are derived from roots, that is called dhatus. Meaning arises from context and usage. Importance of dictionary like explanation. For example, word one is for example gau, that is cow, and dharma, etc. They depend on their meaning is dependent on the context. Uh, Cow means earth, light, or speech that which upholds, and the dharma means maybe that which upholds essence or duty. So contextual meaning is more important here. A cow is not just an animal, rather the earth may also be earth, E-A-R-T-H, earth, that is dharti. This meaning may also be applied to that word, and light and speech also. And another word dharma is not always used for the religion, rather dharma may be used for that which upholds essence, dharan karne wala, essence, and duty, that is obligation. So multiple meanings are there. So contextual meaning is more important. That is what Nirukta says. Thus meaning is context sensitive, not fixed. Introduced educationally, it introduced semantic analysis, paving the way for philosophical debate and interpretations. And then fourth Vedanga is Chand, that is prosody and meter. Its purpose was to preserve the metrical structure of Vedic hymns. Main texts are Chanda Shastra by Pingal, and key features would include classification of meters based on number of syllables and patterns of light heavy syllables. Examples: Gayatri Mantra has 3 padas, lines each of 8 syllables. Syllables are the smallest unit of the division of word. Educational roles: it supported oral preservation, rhythm, memory, and poetic aesthetics. Chandas means rhythm of poetry created by counting short and long syllables. For example, certain meters are there on your screen. You may see Gayatri syllable, Gayatri meter, or the Anushtob meter, and in all you see that the syllables are also defined. 24 syllables, 32 syllables, 44 syllables are there. We will see the examples in the next slide too. And syllables means we can have more discussion on this aspect because it is a little complicated to understand the aspects of syllables and how it creates the sounds. Syllables refers to the akshara in Nirukta. In the Nirukta tradition, the focus is on understanding the meaning of words by tracing them back to their roots, that is called dhatu. When we speak a word, it is made up of syllables, and each syllable contributes to how the word is pronounced. However, a syllable by itself does not usually carry meaning. Meaning comes from the root, that is dhatu, and the way syllables combine to form a word, the division of the word. What is syllable? What is akshar? Syllables means akshar, the letter. A syllable is the smallest sound unit that we pronounce in one breath of beat. For example, there is a word Ganesh, but Ga, Ne, Sha, these are the 3 syllables, 3 aksharas are there. It is usually made of a vowel alone or a consonant plus vowel together. Syllables in Chandas or the prosody. In Chand, the study of poetic meter, the word syllable akshara refers to sound unit in a verse. When we speak a line of poetry, we speak it in beats or sound counts. Each of these beats is called a syllable. So, a syllable in Chand is simply a unit of sound used to measure the rhythm of a poem or mantra. The sound is more important here in Chanda. Two types of syllables, one is the laghu, another is the guru. That is, one is laghu means short and guru means long. For example, syllable, there is a word Rama. So, Ra, that is the length. Length is longer, that is guru. Long vowel is A. Ra plus A, that is Ra, it is the longer vowel. And Ma, that is the shorter sound, it is shorter vowel A. These are the 2 syllable words. Then poetic meter in Sanskrit are defined not by rhyme but by the number and pattern of syllables. Meters are like rhythmic patterns made of short and long syllables. For example, Gayatri Chandas. It has 3 lines. each line containing 8 syllables. So, I think you have recited the Gayatri mantras Tat Savitu Varenyam. 8 syllables are there, and how it is divided into the different syllables, it is on your screen. Tat Savitu Varenyam. Tat Savitu Varenyam. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo. So, Bharg O De Va Sya Dhimahi. There are again 8 syllables, and in the last line you again see 8 syllables are there. That's why Gayatri Chandas contains of the 24 syllables. This is example. 8 plus 8 plus 8, 3. That's why we say Gayatri meter. 24 syllables are there. Then I hope I would clarify it. Kalpa ritual rules and procedures are associated with the Kalp, another Vedanga. The purpose to compose this Kalpa Vedanga was to guide the proper performance of rituals, including sequence, gesture, and recitation. Example, Shulba Sutra connection gives early geometric principles similar to Pythagorean theorem. The diagonal of a rectangle produces the same area as the two sides. This was there in the Kalpa while in measuring. Thus, Kalpa connects ritual practice with mathematics and geometry. So, measurement is associated with the Kalpa. How to perform a particular yagna, the calculation of the Vedis and the time calculation and so on. Components of Kalpa text are given in this following table like Shrot Sutra, Greh Sutra, Dharma Sutra and Sulba Sutra. They are associated on large public rituals, domestic rites, marriage, naming, social conduct and norms, and geometry used in after constructions, altar construction, that is Yagya Vedi are there. So, measurement is the prime concern of Kalpa. Then Jyotisha, astronomy and time calculation. Purpose was to determine auspicious time, muhurta, for rituals through astronomical observation. Main text is Vedanga Jyotish associated with Rig and Yajurveda traditions. Key contributions of Jyotish Shastra was calculation of lunar and solar cycles, understanding of equinoxes and solstices, earliest form of calendar science. Jyotish Shastra, Jyotish Panchang, that is calendar. India is having one of the oldest calendar. Example, determining correct time of Agnihotra ritual at sunrise and sunset, and it help educationally in developing astronomy, mathematics and calendrical science. Here we have a glimpse on Bhartrhari's Sphota theory, a little discussion. Bhartrhari was a 5th century Indian philosopher and linguist who said that language and meaning are understood as a whole, not as separate letters or sounds. His theory is called Sphota. Key idea, when we speak we produce sounds one after another. But the meaning does not come sound by sound. Meaning appears suddenly in the mind, all at once. This sudden understanding of meaning is called the Sphota theory. For example, suppose someone says the word cow or go. You do not understand the meaning by hearing ga, then oh. All of a sudden the meaning comes. Go means cow. You understand the whole word when the whole word is heard. So, meaning is not in each sound, it is in the complete word as a single unit. This moment of realization is Sphota. 3 levels of Sphota are there. Bhartrhari said we understand language at 3 levels. Varna Sphota, understanding at sound or letter level. Pada Sphota, understanding at the word level. And the Vakya Sphota, understanding at the sentence, that is idea level. Linguistic importance in Indian knowledge traditions are equally relevant to discuss. Preservation of sacred text was one of the prime importance for which linguistics was needed. The Vedas were transmitted orally for thousands of years. To maintain their purity and accuracy, scholars developed detailed phonetic rules, that is Shiksha, precise metrical patterns, that is Chanda, strict recitation methods, that is Swara system. This enabled word perfection preservation across generation without written text. That's why Vedas are also known as the Shruti. But how to correct pronouns? Shruti is not just confined to the memorization. Memorization with correct pronunciation and intonation and stress and correct meaning, and also the origin of the term interpretation and so on. So for that purpose, some supporting books were also written along with the Vedas. Vedangas were also developed, and there is a difference between Vedangas and Vedantas. Vedanta is one of the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chand, Jyotish, they are the Vedangas. And Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Mimamsa, Vedanta, that is the 6 schools of Indian philosophy. So keep in mind the difference between Vedanta and Vedanga. And detailed and this enabled world perfect preservation across generation without written text. No other civilization has preserved such ancient text so accurately through voice alone. It is really astonishing fact that for generations and for hundreds and hundreds of years, almost 1000 years or 1 centuries and centuries, it was transferred from one generation to another generation just by way of Shruti, memorization, and with correct pronunciation and correct stress and intonation and meaning interpretation. That was really astonishing. So that's why linguistic theory in ancient India and Indian knowledge traditions was extremely appreciable. Development of scientific grammar. Panini's Ashtadhyayi, a 4th century BC, is one of the greatest achievements in world linguistic theory. It analyzed language using rules and logic. It used technical symbols, markers, and economy of expressions. It allowed infinite expressions from finite rules. This influenced later fields such as logic and philosophy, computational linguistics, and artificial intelligence also. Panini's grammar resembles generative grammar and formal language theory. Then foundation of interpretation and knowledge. Indian thinkers believed that knowledge depends on correct meaning of the words. Thus, Nirukta developed the science of meaning and interpretation. Scholars studied context-based meanings and word origins. Interpretation supported rituals, ethics, philosophy, literature, and law. This created a tradition of hermeneutics, that is the interpretation, Mimamsa, that guided how to understand knowledge. Then language as a medium of philosophy. In Indian thought, language or the Vak was seen as sacred and linked to consciousness. Bhartrhari's Sphota theory suggested sound and meaning are not separate. Understanding arises as a single cognitive act. This influenced yoga philosophy, poetics, Alankar Shastra, and later you see Bharat Muni also wrote Natya Shastra. Logic and epistemology. Linguistics helped shape Indian metaphysics and spirituality. So to conclude today's discussion, the importance of ancient Indian linguistics lies not only in technical grammar and phonetics, but also in its philosophical depth, educational value, cultural role, and scientific precision. It helped preserving sacred knowledge, developing logical thinking, creating aesthetic literary traditions, in providing a framework for intellectual dialogue. Ancient Indian linguistics stands as a central pillar of Indian knowledge traditions. It shaped the growth of language, thought, culture, and civilization for more than 3000 years. So, thank you very much for listening, leaving you with the beautiful words of Noam Chomsky. A language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of a community, a whole history that creates what a community is. It's all embodied in a language. Take care. Thank you very much. God bless you.